Well, hey there, guys, gals, and non-binary pals, and welcome into the SMITE 2 Founders Series, an EMEA Week 3 Swiss bottom of the whole. We'll look at a bracket in a second. You can figure it out. It's Scorps. That's Trelly. Very different than our regular environment.
This is my room now.
This is your room now.
Yeah.
You know what? At least one person has slept in here like on purpose with the intent of sleeping.
Right.
And I would guarantee some people have probably napped in here on occasion, not intentionally.
You won't out those people, but Dave definitely
slept
up an air mattress.
Like where you're sitting, go about like 3 feet back, and
it was that way.
He was right there, just schnoozing.
But that's not what you're going to be doing.
No, what they're going to be doing is using exclamation point access in chat right now, clicking on that link that shows up. It's also going to be the pinned message right now. And then using code SMITE2 esports. Again, those are in caps, so you're going to want to make sure that you copy that to grab a key to SMITE. And Charlie, I know what you're thinking. Oh, but like it's Sunday. This is only going to be weekend access, right? No, that's the thing. This is just access to the game. Like, you just get it. Like, you just have it, period. It's just there. It's in your library forever, as long as you want to play it, things like that. It does not come with, like, the Founders Edition, but you'll have the gods that are in free rotation. You can play SMITE 2 right as you get in, and there's a lot of them. So make sure that you get as many, well, I guess the one that you can, and get your friends, right? Come in, play the game, start testing out, get the new feel, the new vibe, the new look, everything that is SMITE 2. And then, you know, when you inevitably get addicted the way that I did, this is how it works in SMITE 1, is you start playing, you're like, man, this game's pretty good. And then you play Hebo for the first time, or at least that was what I did. And then suddenly I was like, well, that guy's pretty fun. I really like him. And then you buy a skin, and then suddenly that skin turns into the God Pack, and then suddenly that God Pack turns into a new skin, and it spiraled out of control, guys. I lost a lot there, but
you're going to take the house.
You don't have to do that. You can instead just get the Founders Edition, and that honestly comes with so much that you're pretty much set. And I can get away from that topic and instead move to what we're here for, the Swiss bracket and everything that's going on in EMEA. It has been a very, very fun time. A little later, we're going to be taking a peek see up toward the top. Specifically, Team Risk and Smoke Break is one that we're going to be tuning into. And you might notice, because we've been talking about it, and this is just going to have to be mentioned, so I'll mention it now. We were going to be watching elimination games and promotion games. That was the main idea. Unfortunately, MMB were unable to get a full roster in time, so that one ended up being a forfeit. Project Win. Good news for you. You get to move forward and stay alive in Swiss. Good news for MMB. You've now got a few weeks to figure out the roster situation before the GSL groups and that last chance qualifier go. And so we are going to be moving instead up into one of the other games that's going to be going on. And you could have seen it on the timer, but Scorps versus DDK. I've learned my lesson. Not going to try to pronounce it because I know I will butcher it, and I'd have to make a formal apology. So instead, DDK. This is one that, again, it's been really interesting, Shelly, because when we were looking at Scorps, and I think we talked about this a few times, like the week one, like they had to go up against Giovanni Giorgio. Like that's just not nice for anybody,
right.
As Mockingbird can attest to, as Titans Reloaded can attest to. It's just not a matchup that you want to have to find yourself in. And so it was a surprise to me to have them get knocked down, but I think you and JMac, when we've done the SMITE Too Long Didn't Watch, we've had a long discussion about the fact that they have been in this position every time that where you just kind of got the short end of the stick, where like you look like a team that should be a top team, you play like a team that should be a top team, and sometimes you just get hit. And right now you're in the 1-1, so the question is whether or not they'll go up to the 2-1 or if DDK will knock them down to the 1-2 as we progress forward throughout Swiss. Of course, if you wanted to see what I was talking about and I guess like where we're going and all the future, this has been a matchup that, and a team, actually, I'm low-key kind of excited that we swapped, because I don't think I've gotten to see enough Scorps for my personal liking. But then, as again, you can see Sunday, the one that says on air, again, MMB unable to field a roster. Project Win get the 2-0, and they will move forward. And we're jumping and grabbing that off-air game, Scorps versus DDK.
We just say Disciples of Chaos, by the way.
Disciples of Chaos?
Yeah, that I think it was Malum who translated it for us. So yeah, it's just
Well, it is Disciples of Chaos, but I feel That feels like gentrified.
Well, I
Like,
know
I'm
that-
taking it and I'm putting up like a gate with like a code at the
I
front.
just know you looked at it and said Discipulos, and you're like, I don't know if I can say that
I think I'd say
consistently.
would it be a hard C or would it be a
don't
soft
know.
C?
I'm not
See?
sure.
And this is why I say DD.
That's why I say Disciples
Disciples.
of Chaos. DDK works too. I like them both.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, like, when you're casting, you might like
Yeah.
just get in
Yeah.
there.
The Disciples. Yeah, you're right. That actually, hold on, wait. That actually goes hard. Malum's on point for
I got
that.
you, man.
you guys go crazy. Later, we'll be watching Team Risk versus Smoke Break, which, again, is another matchup I'm really excited. Winner of that one is going to move forward to playoffs immediately. And so it's going to be a very, very fun match. I think all of the top matches so far, yesterday, EMEA and NA, went 3. So if you're looking for 3 games, that's one to hedge your bets on.
Then look no further.
Then go to SMITE VOD. Later, we'll be watching North America. Employment LARPers and Theater Thugs will be up first. Employment LARPers, I think we gave an award for great name. They're trying to win an award for great gameplay and not get knocked out. Theater Thugs, also great name. Don't know who I'm rooting for there. Garf's Goblins, a la Kate Club will be going on alongside that one, but a little bit off air. And then later today, admittedly, as I just said, most of these like promo matches have gone 3. If there's one that I would assume wouldn't go 3, it would be one that involves Cowabunga, but Name and Progress are going to do their best to give them trouble. And that is to say, Cowabunga has been given trouble in the past, so it'll be fun to watch. And then, of course, Scrumptious versus Borscht, which is a fantastic off-air match. It's going to be going on around the same time.
Yeah, but the fact that Name and Progress made it this far tells you they deserve to be in this side of the bracket, right? So should
And
be
maybe
an
that they could like figure out, like, the name's been in progress, but like you're up at the top. Like if you make it to playoffs, you probably figure the name out, right?
I don't think they're gonna change it. I think that's the bit. I think they're just gonna stay with Name and Progress forever. Imagine they just change it to like Steve, and they're like, "We found it."
Yeah, we found it.
After all this, that's what we.
I watched that live action Minecraft teaser trailer, and I saw Jack Black, and I thought, Steve, that's a name.
I don't. First of all, I would do the same thing. Second of all, let's see where they're going.
Yeah, we'll move on with the day instead. And again, this has been a fun weekend for me. And yesterday it was a very fun weekend for me and Inbound because like both of us got blindsided by Athena, like, where I was like, okay, yeah, Athena like picked 4th, like that's already kind of weird, and then she got first picked, but then kind of stomped on, and so we'll have to see whether or not Athena is true to form or if it was just that one particular set. So we jump into picks and bans here for game number 1. Anubis was kind of there, but he hasn't really been there. Baron, Yamoja, Jingwei for a little bit. I mean, it feels like every other week there's a new god I've got to add to the list of, hey, this is getting first picked, and it gets to the point. Fenrir, I can't believe I forgot because he's been dominating so much. So it makes sense to go for him. I feel like a lot yesterday was Fenrir, Baron, and as I lean over to Pete, yeah, it is in fact Fenrir, Baron. It just feels like that's kind of the, hey, you know what? These two gods are good.
It's between Odin and Fenrir. It's whatever you're trying to pick up for yourself. The second team always has to ban Baron. That's at least what happens in game number 1. There is a bit of leeway there. But if that doesn't happen, then usually you're looking at like Jingwei, Bacchus, still I think Ymir in that topic of conversation. So the first 3 picks are usually pretty easy to read out unless you have someone that really likes Hecate, in which case maybe you grab her here. So I like the Jingwei, I like the Bacchus, pretty easy grab there considering you're up against the Odin. I love that I have the hammer in my backdrop, but your backdrop looks so cool as well, man.
I will be honest, I was so...
How cool
wow.
Yeah.
This actually looks like if I was like a streamer, like this would be like the back, like that's a good backdrop.
Yeah.
If I was like I did real stuff.
As opposed to doing fake stuff like you're doing right now.
At home, I've just got like posters and my guitars are in the background. And maybe if the camera goes to the side far enough, the piano that I have is also in there.
To be honest, if you had your setup at home, just turn the lights off and then put on like some backlighting. That's
the true secret.
One thing that we have not talked about was the fact that Yamoja
Hecate Yamoja.
Double dipping with the Odin and the Yamoja is usually pretty bad because I've seen 5 Phantom Shells in games at times, so you're already going to get tons of value against the Odin cage. Why not do it for River's Rebuke? But you got Hecate, which means if you are getting Phantom Shells, you're not getting beats. Can sometimes follow up with that. I've seen a bunch of massive open the gates if you are able to use it correctly. As that pick you were talking about, the Athena locked in. Surprisingly, I've seen it fairly often in solo lane. which is interesting.
Yesterday, I saw it was very, very interesting because she got locked in. Admittedly, those teams were doing some wild stuff already, but played in the jungle and in one game did all right. Like it really wasn't like the end all be all. Game 2, it got demolished, and then Game 3, Scream played it, and Scream was like 10-0 and 11 or something like that. Like he was absolutely all over the place. I mean, it gives you. We talked about like Neath a lot over the last few weeks because I feel like Neath has been pretty prevalent in every draft. In fact, the fact that she's not locked in just yet is kind of crazy. I feel like this might be one of the few times I've never seen a Neath in a SMITE 2 match. Especially with on her getting there's a whole thing to dive down there. But the Athena, like that global presence and just being able to, hey, this 2v2 is now a 3v2, or hey, this 1v1 is now a 2v1. Like you just bring an extra presence to the map. And if you had some damage in there, like she was kind of hitting.
Yeah. You'll be swinging if you decide to build damage, considering the Mordred gets locked in. I mean, you have a little bit of wiggle room here. It could be
the world.
It could be Mordred solo and Athena jungle, but it's likely Mordred jungle, Bacchus solo, and Athena support, I would assume. There's lots of flexibility. That's the joy of SMITE too. Sometimes you never know what to predict.
These gods specifically, like I feel like if like Ymir was up there, we'd be a lot easier in saying, okay, that guy, like yeah, he's gone jungle, like you can play him jungle. There's like the crit Ymir memes, but like nobody's done it competitively. That guy, guess what? He's probably going support. But like all three of these have played multiple roles. All three of these, and that like whether you look at SMITE 1 or I think for Bacchus specifically, SMITE 2, I've seen him in the jungle. I've seen him in solo. I've seen him in support. I wouldn't be surprised if I've maybe seen him as a mid. I don't think I've seen him as a carry, but luckily Jing Wei is going to save me from that fate, at least for this game. It just feels like so many, and like you said, it's like the essence of SMITE 2 allows them to be flexible. Well, the question will be where they go, and luckily you don't have to answer that the hard way. We can find out by jumping into game number 1 and just looking. And you nailed it. So it is going to be Preds on the Athena. That is just what you bring to the table.
And we're on a table.
We are on. And you know what? I even put that thing back under there so it stopped flipping around like it was the other day. So we're not only are we on a table, we're level, we're stable. And we got Scorps and DDK. This is maybe the first game that I've ever seen.
Wow, really?
Where, yeah, I've never seen any video game before. So this is what, and they call it esports, you're saying? I was going to say that nobody walks up into the enemy jungle. Unfortunately for Preds, he did. And that shakes out about as simple as it could.
I'm going to be honest with you. For every game that we've gotten to watch on air, it's like they're going to group as 5 and look for a random pick. How are we still falling for this play? I don't get it. I mean, it seemed to me Preds didn't have Sunder, so it wasn't as if an invade was on the mind. I think it was just trying to get some vision down, trying to set some wards, and got ambushed. Not a bad start for DDK. You give that first blood over to your jungler. You certainly would love your Loki to get off to a good start like this, so not a bad look. But just stay with the squad, man. I don't think you need that ward vision down so badly.
And now that I'm looking down, there wasn't even like a Sunder, so it's like
that's why, yeah, it was just for ward,
it's literally just for vision.
And he didn't even drop the ward.
Yeah, probably could have been avoided, but it's just first blood and a small lead, and by small lead I mean a 1-0 lead for Drake on the Loki. Not necessarily the best thing that maybe happened for you super early on. But you can try to control it. I'm always really interested in these jungle matches, especially when you get something that's not the assassin. I feel like with Susano and Loki and Thanatos, I've gotten used to the pace of game that they'll set and like where their power spikes are, when they start showing up for ganks, things like that. I haven't gotten to see as much Mordred jungle competitive. I feel like, in my casuals, but that's not maybe going to be as relevant. And so I'm really interested to see when April is going to get active in comparison to now a 1-0 Loki.
Yeah, I don't love the Mordred jungle. I've been pretty vocal about this just because you have to really build hybrid to get any sort of use out of Mordred. He's going to get outscaled by junglers like Loki, Susano, if they go full damage. But then if you do build hybrid and you get behind, you're not tanky enough to live and you don't do enough damage. So it's all about can April balance that farm level and still be aggressive. And April is a jungler that can definitely do that. Well, you don't really plan on giving this Loki that first blood, right? And so that kind of stinks. You're going to have to play on the back foot a bit. But once you get access to that ultimate, Mordred really does come online. I think one of the stronger junglers at level 2 as well, by basically having like a third ability in that shoulder charge. So not a bad look. It's just you're kind of on a timer unless you build a certain way, which I'm sure April knows. Looks like Tenko Kagi start for this Mordred, which isn't a bad look, but Loki also going to have some big damage coming on level 5.
Yeah, that's a dangerous spot to be in. He should have, well, I guess it depends on the farm. Should is a heavy emphasis, but should hit level 5 first. And then we'll just have to see where he goes. Less focus overall in mid than I got used to. NA was a bloodbath yesterday, and I'm still kind of in that mindset for what their games were like. And I do, I think, appreciate the pace, right? Just waiting for it. In fact, it might cause a little more trouble. April needs a little more to try and close the gap, but just can't quite get there. Wingu able to get under the tower in time, and health bar should tick back up to full. I'm also really interested in this duo lane, because while Preds got schmackered for first blood in the jungle, we haven't seen a whole lot of On Her, and maybe for a reason. I'm actually kind of surprised to see On Her Yamoja getting out-pressured this heavily.
Yeah, it was pretty much just like Coast played On Her yesterday, and even then we were like, why is Coast playing On Her here? Good taunt, confirms the invade. So Pred's going to be able to hit that level 5 mark, despite getting first blooded before Davey, by the way. How is Athena hitting 5 before Davey? Ulting in is the call from Drake. What? I mean, I guess. I definitely would be ulting out there if it decides to go in. Now even more damage coming through the Odin cage. Is it enough to find a kill? I don't think so. Why are we just standing and fighting? I think there's a way where you could just run out, you know, cage and dip, but does not happen here. We get to see 2 kills in favor of the Scorps, and that first blood, it has been neutralized.
That both of the gods that just died had the escapes, yep. and weren't
had the
able
answers
to really get out of there. And now, Charlie, you know, we talked about it a little bit, but like, Bacchus in solo might be his best role overall. It feels like it just plays well into his strengths. And now he's 2-0.
Terrifying.
Odin can get out of control, but a good Bacchus can really ruin all of your plans.
Absolutely. A good Bacchus, a fed Bacchus, 1v1s easily 3 members of DDK. Like, Loki cannot hang, Hekate cannot hang, and On Her cannot hang. Late game, different, but for the next 20 minutes or so, Kana is going to be the biggest threat on the map. And that's just by nature of, you know, you've got Sunder, you've got Mystical Mail, you've got Bluestone, and you've got a lead. And it's very annoying to try and deal with. I personally hate going up against a fed Bacchus, so I can feel for DDK. Drake ended up picking up hi-rez first item, which is good if you want to fight. A lot of times it was transcendent. Oh my goodness, April. A lot of damage forcing out that Phantom Shell. I did want to see the big boy ultimate come through, but Pursue the Weak maybe not charged, or maybe did not want to risk it. So just decided to walk away. Despite that, though, the Scorps are playing off of their lead. I mean, they are making sure, even if you're out of tower line just barely, you're getting pressured here.
I think Athena, well, I had assumed because of position that she was going to maybe go for a teleport. Instead, just laying in wait for the On Her, and that's actually going to be a pretty good walk-up gank. There's a nice impale to get some distance. Dash forward, goes for the taunt, but a great leap. And that's all Zinchi needs to try and get out of that one. And Charlie, I mean, it goes back to exactly what you said, which is they are playing well for their lead. And you need little moments like that, little things where it's just, hey, you didn't die, to help stall it out, right? Athena's losing, theoretically, a lot of farm. She's up 2 levels. My God, maybe losing out on the farm is not the right thing to say. She seems to be doing just fine in that department. And instead try to make things work. Now even rotates over towards the right side of the map. Isn't going to get anything done, but there's a massive grouping over here. 4 for Scorps, 3 for the Disciples. And it's going to be a catch out now onto the Hecate. The ult comes down. Knockup is good. Ports one away. Goes into it. What a great taunt waiting. Using that portal to your advantage. And now Kana comes in. The 2-0 Bacchus is going to put in some of the work. Finds a kill onto the support. Preds trades it out. 2 for 1 so far. I don't know if they're going to go for a chase now. Loki gets out one way. Odin jukes out the other. And it seems like that's going to be all they need. The Wingu just got his back stopped. Yeah, they're not going to chase any further. So 2 for 1. Scorps looking pretty solid in their jungle.
They sure are. I've been noticing this start more and more lately with these supports. It's going that Pharaoh's Curse first item. I mean, it's akin to that horrific emblem we used to see all the time in SMITE 1, where it's an active item, gives you slowed attack speed and slowed movement speed. Off the back of an Athena taunt, no less, can be very annoying to try and deal with, but EMEA has mirrored that same exact start. You can tell. Fred's already working on the squad beads to try and help with any bit of CC that can come through, whether it be from the EMEA just spam bubbling you, or more than likely, that opens gate. Oh my goodness, another taunt in, but not a lot of damage coming out of Rapio just yet. Probably hasn't went back to base in a minute either. This Cuckoo just has Book of Thoth and is in some trouble now. The damage from Drake is good, but not enough to find the kill.
Has to walk away, but he's not going to be able to.
Another shell.
Great shell, and you need a little more peel, but it's just not there. Drake chases him down, gets a kill, and is opening up the doors now. The Loki going for the chase, but forced to use the beads, forced to fall away. That's good CC coming in from the Scorps again, just to make sure the rest can stay alive. And Rapio, as you had mentioned, forced back to base now, so maybe he'll come back with a pretty big power spike. I see 2 rings now. Don't know where Cuckoo's wearing. I guess he's got hands. And so we'll see maybe how hard he hits. Yesterday I was having an issue with Cuckoo because I feel like right now, and maybe you can correct my lane, but it does feel like he's just kind of an ult bot.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it depends on the build, I believe. Like, I think the early poly that we used to see a ton helps out when you just go Zephyr into poly shot, but recently it's been Book of Thoth, Chronos Pendant, Soul Reaver, and that really is just getting the majority of your damage from Spirit of the Nine Winds, which isn't necessarily a bad thing, you know? Like, Spirit of the Nine Winds can just win you a game or win you a team fight if it lands consistently. But the issue is that sound is so ingrained in all Smite players' memory, the second that you hear the ult coming, you're looking for it, you're able to juke it, you're able to walk away, you're able to jump over it, things like that. So it's definitely not a bad take, but you're focusing a lot more on the damage. And unfortunately for Preds, the damage was focused on him, did not have enough to try and ult out. At the very least, you didn't have to use your ultimate, but you definitely go down there.
And it feels a lot like that's been the state of Athena for a little while. Like if you're ulting to disengage, it feels like 9 times out of 10 it's not going to work. Maybe we'll see, since that's ult. Oh no, actually still gets consumed. So you died right before, or right after, maybe the time you needed to in order to maintain it. I was thinking maybe we'd get a rotation over because there's still very heavy presence over on right. Coming in from DDK. April finds Drake, is not winning this trade, has a little more behind him. Walls come up from the Emoja, and there's going to be the jump in from Kana. Goes for the stun, finds said stun, and uses the Intoxicate, trying to chase him down to get the kill, but it looks like Loki, the good ult away, should be safe, and DDK stops that fight in its tracks.
I really thought the Intoxicate might have been enough, but I guess Kana just does not have the damage just yet, even with the help from Bluestone. Maybe a Sunder Diff, but regardless, focused out Drake. Would have been nice to find the kill. I also thought that April might try and chase, but such low health bar there on the Mordred. Even if you get that ultimate off, you're probably dying on landing. You know, something that surprised me, Gore, is in these games, when you're playing through duo lane pressure, which Scorps have had for quite some time. I mean, Davey has a 3-level lead, which is absurd this early in the game. It's usually immediately sent into those Gold Fury plays, but we're just not seeing them for the time being. I thought Wengu might be teleporting over. Looks like he's going for the proxy. And I think that Scorps have plenty of damage to go for. With Rapio having the book and the Chronos Pendant and this Jing Wei that's so fed, it's not crazy to think a Fire Giant, or a Gold Fury pull rather, is pretty easy for him, but they're just afraid to go for it, or they just want to focus on farm more so than anything. Playing through Khan is not a bad look. I mean, he's 3-0-1, but set him on a teleporter, bring him over to Gold Fury. I think you really should be pushing this lead if you're the Scorps.
Try to leverage it, and like you said, I mean, it's been a while since I've gotten past 10 minutes without a Gold Fury. And so, impressive, but if they can get a pick here, And it looks like they're going to go for it. Vibes in a little bit of trouble, but no, it's Rapio in the back who ends up getting taken down. And that's exactly what you need from Drake and from this Hecate, getting the damage out there for your team and finding a massive pick. I, again, have not been sold on the Cuckoo, but unfortunately for Rapio, he hasn't even had an opportunity to really show what he can do. And now that he's not available, I mean, you don't want to pull it without your big secure available.
No, definitely not. Once Rapio falls down, any sort of pull is pretty much shut down at that point, and that was smart for DDK to go for. I mean, Drake has so much damage with his Hydras and the Tekokagi. If you find someone in the jungle when you're vanished, you might as well just send it out, because you got beads, you have Assassinate, you have so many ways to get out of trouble if you do get forced. E1 Tower is possibly a target here for the Scorps. I saw the grouping, but Preds didn't want to go in for the dash taunt. They're just looking for something. I mean, you got to play through Davey. Again, level 13, looks clean, looks good. Purple buff spawning in here shortly. The Scorps aren't really able to do so. I've seen a Prio walk up, and it looks like that Shield of the Phoenix not doing a lot damage-wise. And beautiful Impale forces out the airstrike. Davey might be in trouble.
Now locked down so far. Maybe actually help turn it around, because you've got such a low health bar. Hecate, you do kill off the Emoja in the meantime, but you have to be wary. Loki comes in. Damage is going to be good. You need some backup. The taunt just off the mark. No, and that's going to cause a lot of trouble. Preds ends up punished for it. Killed off. Again, April goes in, tries to get some work done. Davey pulled back towards the tower line. You have to play carefully. Kana finally rotates in. Double kill picked up for him and turns this fight right on its head. 2 for 2. Some low health bars. Maybe 3 for 2, because I think Vives actually just respawned from all of it. And so slightly favorable for the Scorps overall. And back to the tier 1 tower like you were talking about before all of this started. Doesn't seem like they're going to be able to get it. A little rough around the edges, I would say, for a lot of that fight, but I think we're still waiting for some of the tower spikes. You know, I'm looking at Davey, and like you said, he's good, level 13. You had mentioned the 2 levels up already, but wouldn't mind a little bit of crit in the next item, and then maybe see how hard you can smack.
Yeah, it seems like crit has been falling off, and I don't like it. I really prefer at least a Demon Blade, right? You're going to get value from it. DDK goes for the Gold Fury pull. Not the team that I would have expected to do it, but they have the grouping. They have Wengu here. Here comes the ultimate, but already Kana's going to the back line.
Again, Kana doesn't have ult, so that steal potential may be low, but the belly flop potential was high. Preds killed off, but they're just trying to buy time for the team. Oh, a little wide coming out from Rapio. Doesn't get too much damage. Tornado helps separate things. That should be enough to stall this out. You lose Preds for it, though. And all that to just stop a fight, right? Not even to get the Gold Fury for yourselves. You just kind of really, really slow a few things.
It's unfortunate, but Kana is the only one that can survive that sort of play. I mean, Preds is 0-5. This Athena not tanky enough to dive the backline as they've been doing, whereas Preds, you know, you want to dive with Kana. You want to try and back up your Bacchus, but one's 5-0, one's 0-5, right? I guess if someone had to die, you would definitely prefer it to be the guy that's 0-4. You don't want Kana getting shut down at this point. The majority of your gold lead is off the back of this Bacchus. But it's just tough because Preds wants to stay alive to taunt to the team set up, and it's just not happening. Again, Davey still has this 3-level lead that he's been holding. Finally, you got a little bit of extra spice. Kinsblade finished up. It's going to help out a bit. But it's not going to help your DPS onto Gold Fury that much, right? Like, you're still going to have to wait and rely heavily on Rapio to do the damage. I'm just baffled. This is such a different pace than all the games that we've been watching for objectives in particular. Like, even if it's 0-0 at 20 minutes, there's 3 Gold Furies that have been pulled. And either team just has not found a way to commit to them yet.
Yeah, they don't seem to have I guess pressure is what I've been looking for.
Goodness,
that's what I've been
Davey.
waiting on. Davey finally has it, gets the Kinsblade, and suddenly we're maybe in service over here. Maybe it's the attack speed, maybe it's bonus damage. I don't know where he's coming from with it. I guess with the executioner, you had said fading away from crit. That's a big kill. I mean, suddenly the conversation of, well, the pace is still different, absolutely, for all the objectives, but the Gold Fury finally is an open conversation. Did not expect to see Rapio go for it, the ult this soon, but the enemy As long as you got the Secure, you got the Sunder, you got the Gold Fury, and you've got a pretty healthy lead now if you're the Scorps.
Yeah, that was a Zenshi not jumping away diff. Like, he thought he could sit there and trade and took way too much damage. I think there was one 287 crit that just came through from
Feels
the
good, by the way.
Yeah, it does feel good when you're building a shred tank.
When you're the guy that gets it.
And you're just able to get it. Get some luck on your side. Not a bad look. And of course, once you get that kill now, you get the first Fury of the game going the way of Scorps. There was a Pyromancer that went down as well, though. Drake got to pick up that Runic Bomb, so could be used for split push, could be used to try and steal an objective. There's Sunders in play, yes, but you also got to consider that Runic Bomb is just better than Sunder in those cases if you can time it correctly.
And the Sunder, we've seen in Sunder Wars, they've caused ripples across Smite too.
Sunder Wars of 2024.
But it is something that, again, like you said, when done appropriately and correctly, if I'm being honest, and maybe there's just like an internal bias here, because I love playing Cuckoo, but I haven't really seen him do much to warrant seeing him played over most of the other things. Also, and again, it's just because of some of the changes, and maybe we'll hold that thought, but like the disappearance of Soul from the meta, I think could be studied, because she disappeared fast. Like, it wasn't a gradual fade away. She just got blanket ignored after a little bit. Invades coming out from DDK, and they step forward, grab themselves blue buffs. Not a whole lot you can do right here where you feel confident. Maybe going for Rapio is too late. They've got the damage. Can you close it down before there's assistance? Preds comes in, causes a little bit of trouble, but the leap and just the numbers game goes in favor of DDK, locks down Rapio, and keeps the kill ball rolling for them. Still about 3,000 gold, but because of that Pyromancer, like you had highlighted, there's not too much to worry about. The tower separating them as well, so some gold on the map. Like, there's a lot of ways to make up for this deficit.
Certainly is. Maybe looking a little bit weak, though. Has to back up. Forcing out that purification is big. It's down for 170 seconds. Can you find any action in the meantime, though? Off the back of, hopefully, a big ultimate from April. Again, 2-1 and 4. The Mordred has definitely been a part of a lot of action, but I haven't seen those big pursue the weeks come through. Is going for a blue up invade. Is surrounded by 3, so might just want to retreat out the rest of the squad. You mentioned it, though. These objectives are down, which means not a lot of action to be had. Fire Giant doesn't really seem like a possibility for anyone at this moment. This has been that new age build of just ignoring crit and going into Titan's Bane as early as possible that Davy's going. You're not going to see that damage really flex on someone like Zenshi, but it's a night and day difference when you do have Titan's Bane to when you don't, when you're hitting someone like Wengu, right? This Odin is beefy until that Titan's Bane is built up. Decent damage on a Drake, force out the Assassinate, and that's the benefit of Taunt. Maybe that's not an ult, that's just some CC. All the while, Calipo goes down because Davy's just in mid hitting some more big auto attacks. I'm telling you, play through this Jing Wei, it's working.
And the other thing, you know, we haven't mentioned too much about this build, but like when we talk crit, and I think we had this conversation weeks ago, but like that's the, hey, you know what, we're playing around objectives, that's going to be the big thing. You can crit Fire Giant, you can crit the Gold Fury, like burn them down. Davy's kind of smacking these towers pretty hard. Like, it is really good for the push potential, and as you had mentioned, a terrible spot to be if you are Wengu or any of these frontliners. The damage from Davy is just insane. Double kill now, plus that third that he got on Calipo. I mean, you knock down two towers in mid, you look like your team should just go to Fire Giant with this amount of lead, with the numbers advantage. You're in control and playing through these leads so easily.
Grab the Runic Bomb first, definitely a good look. The question is, do they go for Fire Giant immediately? The answer is yes. I think Gold Fury is the call here for DDK. They're going to go for it immediately as well. They cannot step up to Fire Giant, even with a Runic Bomb from Drake. Just would not be worth it. So try and take the other objective off the map before it works. Realize they can go for it, right? I think this isn't a bad call. Try and get level 20. I mean, there is a 3-level deficit. For Davy, yes, but also for Drake. April just now ticks over level 17, so this Loki, you at level 20, could definitely be a difference maker on the defense. That's why you got to try and just focus as much gold as possible, especially trying to get Zenshi online. This on her does not have the itemization to shred through tanks like Davey does. And you're going to need that if you want to try and keep these Phoenixes alive. Still 2 tier 2 towers for the side of DDK. They've got some gold that they can play with. But there will be a point where Kana's just unkillable, dives the backline, is so annoying, and the only one who can really try and stop him is Drake. And Drake has been going pretty consistently on Rapio, right? This Loki has one target in mind, and it's been the Cuckoo. And if you're diving Cuckoo and also trading out, getting hit by Spirit of the Nine Winds, you're probably not getting a second kill if you do end up killing him.
And it hasn't led to too much. I mean, I'm looking at a 5-0 for Kana and a 4-0 for Davey, so maybe not where the investment needs to be if you can get to the back line. I want to ask something because it has, I guess it's caught me off guard again because I don't play a lot of jungle in general. Teko Kagi, get it. The Shield of the Phoenix, get it. And this is all for Mordred. Didn't expect the Soul Reaver, and I guess part of it's because I forgot that it has physical pin on it, which is nice, but like it is
Your right tower
it's different, right? Or am I crazy?
No, it has become a Mordred staple. Just because, you know, Mordred wants healing, he wants sustain, and Soul Reaver you can just chain together so well on all his abilities. Looks like we don't have time to talk about Soul Reaver. Already sieging forward is the call from the Scorps right side bird. They'll be able to drop down if they get some more damage, but they don't have it. If anything, they have to back up here. Not a great beginning to this siege. I thought the ultimate from Freds would be enough, but not quite. Phoenix is to about half HP. They're gonna have to burn this one through slowly, Gordon.
Really just need to get Davey in there to have some unfettered shots. As long as he can find it, he'll be fine. Up to the sky, goes to the back. Speaking of in the back, Kana's here. Will be eating his first death of the game. Massive shutdown, but it creates a lot of space. They trade out 1 for 1 and get the Phoenix. The shutdown gold might be a lot, but I think the opening and win condition now available for Scorps probably worth a little bit more. And Charlie, they just get to back away from that, knowing it's, you know, 4v4. The base advantage going the way of DDK makes it a little more awkward to try and continue to siege. And so instead, rotate over towards the left, maybe knock down that tower.
Or find a taunt on.
Yeah.
Not a bad look, but now Davey eating the damage from Drake. This is what I was talking about. Another kill for Drake coming here soon with the Vanish. That's going to be free. My goodness, this Loki is doing ridiculous amounts of damage. And this is kind of what I predicted, right? The only one who could kill Kana was Drake. And that's what came through, right? Kana goes a little bit too far. Loki finds the damage. And now you're at a point where April cannot hope to match this DPS. Like, it's just never going to happen with this Mordred, whereas Drake gets one pick for free, and then if you let him, you know, wiggle through the back line with Vanish, you can probably find a second one. It is just difficult once you let Loki get online this hard. No other carry is level 20 on the side of DDK, but it really doesn't matter. It's all about, can you create enough space for this Loki? And so far, I mean, you lost the bird, yes, but you're able to find some key picks to make sure the rest of the Phoenixes don't go down.
Biggest thing, and I think you maybe couldn't write it better than this if you had tried, but the fact that you know, you had mentioned not wanting to see him go on Rapio, especially if you're just going to trade and get the 1 kill, to then getting the 2 people who are undying up to that point. I mean, that is maybe as massive as it could get for Drake, 6-2 and 6. But can he do it consistently is kind of my immediate worry. Like, was that Scorps maybe playing too aggressive, or was that Drake getting the opportunity that he needed to finally choose the right target?
I just think Loki's the best jungler in the game, bar none, at level 20. So Drake, as long as he's playing consistent and smart, really shouldn't have a problem picking apart the backline. Because again, you're not going Aegis. You don't have beads. You have one set of beads that's on Preds, and everyone else has Shell, which Loki cares about a bit. But just look at the item difference between Drake and April, right? They're both level 20, but Drake has a full item over April. And remember, one of them is tank stats. One of them is just for regen to stay alive in the backline. Whereas Drake is, I am here to one-shot you, and that is my plan. I mean, I truthfully think that DDK have a better late game just off the back of this Loki alone. It's going to be a while before Zenshi hits that level 20, upgrades the starter, and feels as strong as Davey does. I mean, this Jingwei is disgusting at the moment. But Drake is just going to keep spamming that Teko Kagi, try and find Rapio in the backline, and could easily find a one-shot here.
Yeah, gonna find it. Does not get hit by the ultimate as well, so gets the through line that you need. but you've lost 2 of your teammates in the process. Drake is doing everything in his power, but unfortunately his team was just unable to accomplish the same. Knockup should be good to lock down this Yemoja, forced to use that Purification Talisman, but it is not enough to get away. 3 killed in the blink of an eye. Wingu just scatters for the win to stay alive. Drake has to use the ult to get away as well, and all of this disengage. Charlie, for not a single trade, didn't pick anybody up, and now you're going to lose a Fire Giant.
Yep, and you can tell the big difference maker here, as we see Drake probably fall down if the Sunder is available. Rana doesn't have it just yet. Oh, the burp might just do it. You have Soul Reaver. He doesn't even have Soul Reaver. Oh my goodness, I thought it was going to be enough, but no. So Drake just okay here. Regardless, no one's diving with him, right? I didn't see Wengu in the back line, and they're chaining together their shells so well. The Scorps said, oh, I'm a shell. Okay, now you're weak, I'm a shell. They're chaining together to be used as a pseudo Aegis. And then even after 2 shells were used on Arapio, Preds also used the ultimate. If you get that much from just one Loki, the fight should be looking clean. Unfortunately, the rest of the carries cannot stay alive. I mean, Kalipo and Zenshi are just getting dove too hard. And that's just the benefit of, number 1, having a fed Bacchus on your team, and number 2, you know, you only really have to worry about one guy on the enemy squad. So you can focus all of your peel onto where is the Loki. Who's he going on? Oh, it's Cuckoo? Okay, everyone just squad up. We're going to defend.
And like you said, the link together of all of the shells, that's what is maybe, like, it's impressive in multiple ways. But just keeping everybody alive, keeping it in a good spot. Finally taking down the Gold Fury. Again, the pace of the game early on was so slow in comparison to what I've gotten used to that that's just the 3rd Gold Fury overall, right? No team able to pick up 3 on their own, despite the fact that I think Scorps were maybe in a position to. Ancient Fury would come in, but it's going to be a giga late game objective at this point. And we might not even get to see it with the way this Fire Giant's going. That tier 2 knocked down quick and easy. That Demon Blade picked up pretty late in the build, but still in the build nonetheless for Davey. Feels like it could be a massive thorn in the side of DDK. Shelly, it's just the confidence around jumping in to a Phoenix, which even when you're this far ahead, what, 5,000 gold, have the Fire Giant, like, you need a little more behind you to give that push.
Definitely do, and I'm not a big fan of throwing gold. Right now, with this DC seems like a much better time through the week. Just pick it up and Ode, not the target they're looking for. And actually, Scorps are not looking too good here.
That health bar's fallen relatively quick. There's a little peel ult from Rapio, but it doesn't maybe find
He still has ult.
he needed.
There it is.
It's going to be Drake going in, finds the kill. It's Kana. It's a Priel who are already dead. 3 left standing on Scorps, and their siege gone wrong. And I don't even know if they can get out of here at this rate because of the collapse in from DDK. They just need to find a little bit to close gap, try to find the target. Preds is the lowest health bar, but is he the best target? They also have to worry about Davey. Up to the sky, Davey going into the back line. Davey looking for these autos and finding these shots. 1, 2, 3, has everything he needs. Oh my God, he's still going, and he's still getting a little bit more done. Dashes in.
Oh, the shield.
But that might be the problem. The shield does what it needs. We were saying this Hecate needed to do more, and finally shows up with a triple.
Man, that definitely would have been killing a Drake without the shield from Kalipo. You don't even need to hit the ultimate. Now they're running down mid lane, and this is what I was alluding to. If you let the Loki tear up your backline, get everyone weak with the procs, the chase down will be clean. Wengu played that perfectly, by the way. This Odin just tanking up damage, saying, hey, look at me, I'm the distraction. Don't pay attention to the damage dealers in your backline. Unfortunately for DDK, they still have that right side bird down. They're going to have to go back to base, and they can only pick up a Pyromancer in the meantime. Definitely strong as far as defense goes, but not going to be enough to get them back into this game just yet. It does help, though, because Kalipo and Zenshi, as I mentioned, still need itemization. Like, gold is still such a factor at the moment. It's hard to try and come back from when your carries don't have the damage to deal with them, right? Like, it's not as if a Priel isn't behind. We've mentioned that. We've hammered that point home for a while, but you saw what Davey just did. Zenshi can't pull that off in his wildest dreams. And it's not because of himself, it's because on her, with this build, with this far behind, cannot dish out that amount of damage.
Yeah, it's you know, you finally hit those level 20 spikes, and we always talk about it, and that idea of like, well, what was like 3-4 levels for Davey at one point, now the experience isn't there anymore. But like you said, the build difference definitely still is. The damage output Davey is going to have.
Yeah, DB might just be GG, honestly.
That is, it may be a little, like, give him that in that last fight, and I don't know if he dies. He might actually end up being the one to get a, I'll even say maybe he gets a full-on pentakill. Probably not, because I'm sure somebody else got a kill somewhere in there, but he is maybe now the biggest threat on the board, and it's kind of fun to watch and nice to watch Kana, who's passed the torch of damage over, right? Kana's still the most disruptive, I would say, but Davey is the most deadly.
Absolutely, and again, Deathbringer finished up, opens up a whole new realm of possibility here for Scorps. One taunt into a knock-up, one Mordred ult into a knock-up, and you're getting 3-shot. Just about anyone on the map besides like Kana is going to be able to have some issues there. The Spirit Robes help. The Spirit Robes definitely help, but it's still tough, you know. The Spectral Armor from the Yemoja is going to help as well, I guess. So there is some way to deal with the crit here from Davey, but regardless, he is the one that you have to watch out for. If I'm Drake, I am no longer looking at Rapio. I am turning my attention towards the Jingwei, and it's tough because as a Loki, you don't really want to be that close to Jingwei because those crits hurt you as well. Just going to be an attempted gank, an attempted ambush at this Fire Giant. DDK, they've got vision. They know this is happening. They're not going to step up until the Fire Giant actually gets pulled. Just sit around and wait. Spam up your Tech Okagi, spam up your Gem of Focus. Finally, Fire Giant starts to be looked at. But again, look at the grass. This is clearly an ambush, and DDK know it. How do they proceed? How do they step up?
Right now, the answer is slowly, with Drake leading the way. An immediate good taunt just to pull away such a massive amount of purification. Like all of that CC immunity stripped away, massive timer on it. And it feels like Scorps maybe could leverage that in the next fight, but Trelly, they just kind of back away. And now it's the Disciples themselves. They decide to start up the Fire Giant. Yeah, this is going so slow.
There's no crit. Like, they can't do this.
Well, they're still going.
They're committing.
They're still DPSing. It's half health. This is the time of a commit. The on her is not
getting owned.
And it looks like things are going, very, very wrong. And the Fire Giant still has not fallen. The fight around them, the teammates around them fallen. Drake finally gone. Fire Giant, the DPS is finally stopped, but you've lost so much in the process. Kalipo forced to fall away. Wingu taken down on the retreat. And Scorps respond in kind. Oh my god, you got to be careful where you're standing, Zenji. The damage output is low and the health maybe even lower right now. Fire Giant started up this time by Scorps with a little bit of crit online. You have to imagine this one will go over not only faster,
much faster,
but also without much context.
Yeah, this is what a real Fire Giant being would look like. Again, like the Berserker shield from the on her, I get it, a lot of physical damage coming your way, but you are not doing your team any favors when it comes to shredding through this objective. Now, go ahead and grab Fire Giant, go ahead and grab another Runic Bomb. We are 35 minutes into this game. Gold looking close to even at this point, but really, you got to be finishing up the end of these builds. That Obsidian Shard from Rapio is a big deal. And of course, more defense coming through from Creel could also help out. But 3 Phoenix is tall. I think Ancient Fury is going to be a big look. If you haven't been paying too much attention, Ancient Fury did take some nerfs recently to where she no longer shuts down your structures. They still do fight back. They do so at half speed and basically half damage. So it's still very impactful to your siege, but it's not as if they're just completely turned off and the minions can take the Phoenix effortlessly, right? You do have to still worry about your push, which is probably something that the Scorps have on their mind for the moment. Drake looking for a split push, looking for a possible 1v1. I can't imagine he thinks anyone with the Scorps on this side of the map, so probably he's trying to grab a tier 2 tower before the siege begins. And you need Drake at this Phoenix if that's the call. The Scorps are playing this one slow. They haven't quite seen there's a Loki on the map, but the second that he reveals himself, I mean, you should be going in. That should have been it right there. You can see Drake's on right, so push in left as quickly as possible. He's the only threat. Yeah, this Loki needs to get back immediately to that left side bird.
Looks like He will get the back off in time to be available.
Lipo's chunking right now as well.
Yeah, that the damage. I mean, late game Hecate, right? Like you finally got the items online. It's just making sure that you actually hit the stuff that are present for some of these fights. You don't have Davey in mid with you, and so Wingu's health bar is not moving. And it feels like this slow kind of like separated push. First off, getting a lot of deja vu to just Smite games of past, something we haven't seen too much. The Ancient Fury going to help out a little, but not a lot of entryways for the Scorps to get in here. They have the damage, but fighting with the Phoenix, even with a weakened Phoenix, is a little harder to commit to, especially with this 3-2 split.
And just watch the poke. I mean, watch Drake step up. You get a Soul Reaver, a Heartseeker, and a Crusher proc consistently with the decoy. He's keeping everyone nice and low. I mean, even with the small bit of sustain that's already built in here, we gotta watch out. Not as if Scorps don't have a decent poke as well, but, you know, if we're just going poke for poke game, DDK is going to be winning that every single time. They have to play this slow. They have to play it smart. Once again, I hate that play. Why are we just throwing the ult out for fun, man? It's so good off the back of CC. Now you don't have some of your biggest burst damage. Mid Phoenix is gone.
Especially since we've seen several times the leap in maybe working out well for him. Drake goes into the back, tries to work out well this time around, but it's going to be Davey with the range advantage. Taunt is good, auto's better. They find the kills. They still lose Rapio, but it is 2 already found for the Scorps. And if they can find a third, they've already cracked open the base with the mid Phoenix, and they will find it. Poor Zinshi, nothing you can do about it. Low health bars right now for Davey and April. They're still going to march forward. They're still going to get this left side Phoenix.
Under attack.
Are they going to go for the Titan? You've got a massive numbers advantage for a long time. Davey's going to heal up a little over on the side, and Wingu is maybe going to feel his wrath in just a second. Steps forward. You need to get away from this CC. But the main target is the Titan. Taunted in, killed off, shut down on the mid, and game 1 is going to go the way of the Scorps.
This one took a little bit longer than I would have assumed to get there, but business as usual there for the Scorps. 9-2 for Davey. I believe 7-2 there for Kana. The side lanes were looking terrifying as that game continued. Still a good look regardless from DDK. Again, I think this Loki is such a threat if you can get to late game, but picks like the Honor have such a fall off. The Hecate, I need to see more setup, more patience on that ultimate, because Open the Gates can be such a great tool to just rip everyone back into your team, set up beautifully. They did use the teleporter. I saw Drake like say, okay, let's make use of this missed ultimate. I'm going to teleport in, find my ult. They just chained their shells together and immediately blew up the Loki. So unfortunately didn't end up working out. But I think in game number 2, if we take a similar approach to the late game, just draft better accordingly, like just,
Yeah.
you know, sort of hedge your bets on like, what if this game goes to 20 minutes plus? It could have been looking a bit differently.
You know, the Loki felt solid, but just moments where maybe he didn't have backup. Some the Hecate ults as well kind of left us scratching our heads. And so the essence was there. It's just the maybe execution of it. So I'll have to see again what they changed. Same thing goes for the Scorps, maybe trying to speed things up, clean things up. They had a pretty solid lead. It just took them a little longer, I think, than they expected, than we expected to get to that win. Question is, how will they solve that? And the answer, well, is right on the other end of this quick break.
And then I said, that's not Bacchus, that's Bilson's mother. That one always makes me laugh. But enough about my weekend. Hey, Gormizer, what's new with you?
Just picked up my SMITE 2 Founders Edition.
Very nice.
Purchased it on my preferred gaming platform just yesterday.
Nice skin.
It's Cacodemon Ymir. It comes with all SMITE 2 gods. Forever.
That's very cool, Gormizer, but that's nothing. Look at this. Nightstalker Neath and Ascension passes for 11 alpha launch gods. What do you think?
Geez, that is really super. How'd a nitwit like you get so tasteful?
Can't believe that Dandy prefers Chelly's Founders Edition to mine.
Very nice. Impressive. Let's see J-Max Founder Edition.
Look at that avatar, badge, and title. The tasteful thickness of Tier 5 Fallen Zeus skin. Oh my god, it even comes with Ascension passes for all 23 Alpha gods.
Don't be like this psycho and upgrade your Founders Edition so you don't miss out on Nightstalker Neath, Tier 5 Fallen Zeus, and Ascension passes for the first 23 gods. Upgrade today.
Go to smite2.com and upgrade your Founders Edition today. Whether it's for Ascension passes for the first 11 gods in your Nightstalker Neath, or if you want the tasteful thickness of the Tier 5 Fallen Zeus skin, you can go all the way to the Ultimate Founders Edition. And you do. I played it the other day when we were doing our Friday Casuals.
Yep.
Yeah, and I was playing carry Zeus, attack damage Zeus, and it took a little while, but I did do damage eventually. Luckily, we had other people carrying me to get there. But it's a great skin, and Ascension passes for the first 23
Bingo.
gods in the alpha. And if you currently are looking at that and you're like, for some reason, like, I'm going to be real with you. If all SMITE 2 gods forever doesn't sell you on even just the base version, well, I've got good news. You can sell yourself on it by using !access in chat. There's a link that is going to show up. You can then go use code SMITE2 esports to grab a key to get into the SMITE 2 alpha and then play the game a little bit, see if that does the extra little push to convince you that,
Tickles your fancy.
every single god forever, like, that's a pretty good deal, as it turns out, and is worthwhile making sure you get. Plus, it's just access to the game.
Of course.
You get to jump in, get to play, get to have fun, and get to compete if that is something that you're really interested in. There's open brackets that are going on alongside all of these in NA and EMEA and Brazil and LATAM and APAC every single week for the next few weeks. But right now, we are watching Swiss, and the competition that we're seeing is fierce as we see. It took almost 40 minutes, but Scorps come out on top.
Yep, Scorps versus DDK, definitely a bit of a barn burner as that match continued. I thought that Drake might have been able to bring his team back into it. 36,000 damage top in the game. It's actually an 38,000 damage, so ridiculous amount, unfortunately not enough. Again, I think the On Her is great if you're trying to snowball in lane, but as you highlighted very early on, the On Her and the Yemoja were getting out pressured by the Jingwei and the Athena, which really shouldn't be happening. So, I think maybe something like the CERN might have been a bit different. Regardless, it just was not enough to deal with Davey, who was really popping off. I mean, this Jingwei had a fat lead for the majority of the game. Same with Kana. The side lanes were looking clean. Unfortunately for Rapio, was under a lot of pressure. This Cuckoo was the target for the majority of the Loki ults early on, which, is going to happen, especially when you have something like a shell on your hands. You're not going to be able to live through that too often. But one thing that I did think was very clean was the ability to just peel for whoever Loki was going on. Again, it was, I'm going to shell first, wait for that to run out, then you shell, then Athena ult me, then I'm going to taunt. Like, there was just there was a chain of command, it seemed, when the dive was happening, which when you're trying to focus out just like one member of the enemy team, that's all you need to do.
I know the thing that stood out to me, Yemoja not doing a ton of player damage kind of makes sense, right? That's not really her thing anyway. The On Her being within 300 of the Yemoja, definitely. So maybe some change-ups, whether that's build, execution on field, we'll have to find out. So we jump into picks and bans here for game number 2.
So clean.
DDK will be first pick and first ban. And that means that presumably, like you had said, it's do you ban the Odin and grab the Fenrir? Do you ban the Fenrir and grab the Odin? Last time it was ban the Fenrir, grab the Odin. We'll see if they go the same route. Baron's always been the second ban. Don't know if I imagine too much changing. I have to change that literally immediately because the first thing, they changed everything immediately.
Well, it's still gonna be Baron here, right? Like it still has to be Baron here. It's just the Bacchus has been the first takeaway. Which means you get your choice. Do you want Fenrir or do you want Odin? I assume it's Fenrir because they already had the Odin, and it didn't look fantastic. And that means the Scorps can take something like Fenrir Loki, which would be pretty disgusting if, of course, Apriel wants to go towards it. Did fine on the Mordred. It was just that was the one glaring thorn in the Scorps side was that Loki pickup. So we'll see if that's something that they are trying to take away. Regardless, the Jingwei is something that would be on the top of my priority, just getting that back into Davies' hands, because if you can force Zenshi onto something that is not Jingwei, you're already off to a great start. Yeah, you know, just trying to mirror exactly what happened last game. So that's exactly how I would have played that portion of the picks and bans. But again, I'd stay away from the Yemoja. I don't think you want to double dip into River's Rebuke and the Odin Cage. I just don't think it works out.
If danger sets foot on my
we'll see
doorway,
if they change it up.
I'll destroy it.
Ymir doesn't
quite
have to rely on
simple,
the
really.
wall, right? He has his freeze, he has the CC, and then the wall is like a secondary effect in most cases, so that would be a bit different for me. But DDK, they need to grab Loki right here if they want it, and they definitely will.
Yeah, it kind of feels like Yemoja plus Odin. We've already seen the rise of Phantom Shell. Like, it's getting picked over Beads and Aegis in a lot of roles, period.
That's without Yemoja.
And that's without Yemoja Odin. If you add Yemoja Odin, suddenly it's like, whoops, all walking through walls now. Like, you don't have to worry about it. And you had mentioned it. They staggered it so well as well. So it's like, there was never an instance of, oh, we saw 3 Phantom Shells pop to get out of this Odin cage, and now, haha, you're the fools. They just like, okay, you pop yours. Oh, now you're low? Okay, I'll pop mine. Okay, I'm low. Now you pop yours. Like, just switching it off. And so they take maybe some of your advice. They go for this Ymir, which is someone who I'm happy to see. I also personally prefer it to the Athena. I think if we're going in support, yesterday I got sold a little bit on Athena like elsewhere, but don't know if I'm feeling her the same way, how Preds just kind of managed last time. So I'm a big fan of that. Although now that I'm looking down, of course there is the Athena, so it's just depending on which one goes where.
I think here, I really like, if you are going to let the Loki through, I like the Fenrir jungle a ton, because Fenrir may be the only assassin that like convincingly just owns Loki up until late game, because he can follow you in invis. That used to not be the case. You brutalize, it would just, if you were brutalizing someone and they went invis, it would just stop. Now you can chase him. So as long as he goes invis and you know around where he is, you follow him, you jump where he ults, you ult him, you run him down. And I think that's a great way to look. But it could also just be, you know, they could swap the roles around. I think for me, I would prefer Neith and Athena duo lane, Ymir solo, and Fenrir jungle. But there is some room to switch around because, again, SMITE 2 brings so much diversity in picks and builds.
Would you Neith mid Jingwei duo?
Yeah,
for Davey.
Good call. Good call. Skipped over that one, definitely.
I was like, you mentioned everyone but the god that I thought you were going to mention here.
Neith definitely mid, and then I would have Ymir solo.
Everything else, keep it where you just
for sure.
So Athena's interesting in multiple ways because, again, the ultimate being able to bring her all around the map. No matter what side lane you put her in, you've got rotations like crazy. I mean, you've got the teleports that are on the map plus your own little teleport. It feels like if you put her even in the support role, like I wouldn't mind seeing Preds just kind of show up everywhere.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's the benefit of Athena is how much mobility you can have. You can ult away somewhere and then teleport back. You can teleport somewhere, then ult to your team. There's just ways that you can play around this global presence, and now you've added a Neith into the mix. So you thought you were in a 1v1, now you've gotten World Weaver and a Defender of Olympus. So.
Once again,
baited. It was actually a Nuad the whole time. Fooled you, and you still have the global presence, so my point doesn't change.
And guess what? It's going mids. So, like, pretty much everything outside. Well, let's see. She's got a line ability.
Yep.
She's got an ability that's a big circle.
She has a stun.
She has a stun.
Global presence.
And global presence. Stun, root, stun better than root, greater than sign, whichever.
You're right. They
whichever
both have
direction
roots
they-
and stuns.
So like realistically, I think we're kind of rocking with are Neith and Nuwa the same god? Oh my god!
Have we ever seen them in the same game at the same time?
I don't. You know what? I don't know that I have. I mean, look here.
Yeah.
They're not in the same place.
Not there's no proof, and you, the viewer, can't prove it either. Once again, watch out for the 5-man
Watch
gang
out.
squad. It was Preds last time. Oh my
Oh,
goodness.
no. Are
He
they
might see it.
actually-
Do it to him.
They're gonna walk in. The taunt is so good at this level too. Poor revives. It happens this time, but Preds is not the recipient. Instead, Preds is the facilitator, and everyone gets an assist kill. That is like the perfect lineup.
Right, but
Assist, assist, kill, assist, assist. Like
if you
that's a Power Rangers-esque lineup.
if there was any bit of trigger discipline, that's a double kill because Kalipo was also on the way, right? The Hekate was right behind.
Yeah.
So if you just wait a second, you're pulling
Probably
the
get two.
beads almost certainly, and you kill both. Unfortunately, you just want that first blood, and it goes the way of Rapio. So definitely a good look.
The Neithwa.
The Neithwa, of course. So a great
Yo,
start.
skin department. Hello.
Definitely a good start. Try and get, you assume, Chronos, Pen, and Book of Thought, those sort of items on early. And again, as you said, 4 assists as well for Scorps. So a great way to kick off game number 2. If you're a Scorps fan, if you are a DDK fan, you're in shambles.
Yeah, you're in absolute shambles. 500 gold, 400 gold, and also a lead when they're already up 1-0. Again, if you are DDK here, this is, I believe, if I remember correctly, in the 1-1 era. So you just get knocked down to 1-2, which means next week you would be potentially facing elimination. If you win this, if you're Scorps, 2-1, which means if you win next week, you would have the opportunity to get a promotion to the playoffs directly.
Facing promotion.
And so definitely one you want to win. Maybe not as much pressure on DDK as some of the other teams that were lower in the bracket today.
Be still.
But still, that maybe pressure kind of mounting up and trying to figure things out. I also am just now registering the
Yep, me too.
Kukulkan over in Duo.
Same.
And Trelly, I was pretty honest about not really liking the Kukulkan in mid because he just feels kind of like an ult bot, and if they're not finding a lot of utility, then who cares? I don't know if that changes when he's in Duo.
I mean, we did not love the on her.
Yeah.
I did not mean for Zenshi to give up on the class entirely. Again, I was thinking like CERN or Soul or Neith. This is just even less tank shred, in my opinion. So if you thought your late game was rough before, could be even more so now. But guess what? On the way is Drake, and even closer is April, and the Fenrir should have a good stun here, but you can't save your solo later, and Kana falls down.
Yeah, and if anything, Drake, and this maybe demonstrates it, it's kind of putting all of their eggs in one basket. And while that's usually used as a, hey, you shouldn't do this, maybe just leaning into Drake is the thing to do, right? Drake was doing incredibly well last time despite some of the losses the team was doing. I mean, top damage in the game. Kalipo was right behind 35k, was 5k up, I think, on anyone on Scorp. So, like, they had the damage as the game went on and got later. It was just the maybe surrounding nature of the team that wasn't up to par. On her did 11k damage. Hopefully this Cuckoo could sneeze and do a little more. And so I'm wondering what they're going to do, but it does feel like it is all in on Loki. The question is, what are you going to do if Fenrir goes all in on you? This isn't a good spot to grab. Not level 5 yet, so no ult. So whoever you get, you need to get in a good fashion. You got the beads, but you can't chase under the tower, and unfortunately Riptide's good for a disengage. And so April, with effort, doesn't get to show anything. And yeah, Drake's going for the buffs. I thought he was going to rotate in and maybe go for a fight.
Looks like just trading invades is the call. Drake knows, hey, they're going to take our purple and our speed. I'm going to do the same. And as a Loki, you like being a little sneaky, little silly little guy, so you're going to do just that. But Davey does notice that Drake is at the purple buff, so there's a chance of a scrap, or at the very least, taking that buff away. So Davey confirms it and is still trying to fight. Can anyone rotate in and find Drake? No beads available. Nuwa is going to reveal the stealth. This would be a slow burn if they're able to find him. But does he just back? He's just going to take the farm. I think he's accepted his death. Or he hits 5 off that. No way.
This actually could be crazy. Taunt is going to be good. Has the ult. That's going to create a lot of disengage. But look, Nuwa laying in wait over here. Brutalize chases 1 down. Good little juke. You got to find him. There he is. But you need the hit. And they're going to chase him. I mean, where do you go from here? And the into the grayscale. So they finally get the kill. I am like you, though. I admire it. Gets the farm, hits 5.
Yeah,
like,
that was clutch.
made some pretty cool plays despite the fact that things weren't going his way.
Yeah, would have had to find like 2 individual stealths that juked everyone, right? And that is tough to do. A little bit of damage is going to come Wengu's way, but even with another freeze here, I think Wengu should be fine. That's just the nature of Odin, baby. A lot of sustain, shielding, no real issue over on the right side of the map. I wonder how Davey's going to be feeling laning up against the Cuckoo. Like, you thought On Her was going to play passively. Like, Cuckoo's going to nado and run and continue that process for plenty of time to come.
You see where they're at on the minimap?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's where they're going to always be every time we look at that lane. Picked up right now by Fenrir, brought out Wengu, taking some damage. Odin Cage dropped, and that's going to do a little bit of peel. Interestingly enough, that forces me, or made me want to look down at the relics. Surprised to see we've got the Aegis, a combat blink, instead of the 2 extra Phantom Shells that we had last time.
Yeah, I definitely agree with the Aegis pickup, just when you're up against Akate, Cuckoo, and Loki, but I don't really love the blink on Fenrir. It is fun when you pick someone up and then blink in the middle of Ragnarok to pull them away, but Sunder's so nice because it's that little bit of extra damage. It's tick damage, which can follow Loki in stealth, and you can Sunder someone while they're in your mouth as Fenrir, so you can just pick them up and Sunder them, which is always goofy. And then, of course, as you said, the shell for the Yemoja and the Odin would also be just fine. But hey, sometimes you can make use out of that blink even better. So we'll have to see exactly how April tends to use it. I do hope, again, it's off the back of a nice pickup just so we can see the Ragnarok, like, pull someone across the map. But we're seeing a 2-0 start for Rapio off that early first blood, sitting level 8. Top farm in the game with Kalipo just barely behind. But I did want to see exactly how Gold Fury pressure changes in game number 2, because again, we talked about this. It was a while before those structures start to be looked at. I mean, you've got a Cuckoo over in the duo lane, so it's going to be scary if you are the Scorps trying to go for a play like that. But last action we saw was off of a purple buff invade, and Drake is here again trying to see if he can go for something.
Ult, which I think secured the buff. Most of the time you'd maybe say it's overkill. Tries to go for a chase down here onto Drake. He's in an awkward spot, and in fact, Athena's going to find him. Dash forward, taunt back. All you need is a little bit more follow-up damage, but they don't have it yet, and the good Hecate pull keeps the teams away and gives Drake an out. Unfortunately for Drake, there were 2 guys waiting there, and they jumped him the second he showed up. That portal maybe being one directly to hell. And so for him, 7 seconds in the timeout box. Maybe an Odin rotation, maybe just going for a proxy. Yep.
He does that same rotation all the time.
That typical solo lane stuff that's going on over there. And, well, guess what? The Kukulkan has not moved from his tower, which is very much what we expected.
And that's the other issue, is like, even if Wengu teleports over to go for a gank on a Davey, and Davey's airstrike is down, Zenshi's under tower constantly. Like, you are not going to have any help from your laner because he's just like, dude, I'm farming. I don't want to fight. Stay away from me. Wengu is getting good pressure over in solo lane, but if it's not off the back of a nice rotation, Kana can step up with relative ease. It's usually been like jump, freeze, into ult. I wonder if he does it again. Looks like the answer will be yes.
A good taunt this time from the Athena keeps things going. Kana's doing a crazy amount of damage right now. The Berserker shield, I mean, it is impressive and a little surprising if I'm being honest. And he gets a kill there, a little help from Preds. But a Gold Fury started up. You know what they say, gank on right, pull something on left, started. And you do have Secure in one form, ultimate from a Kukulkan, but not the security of mind. So they drop the Gold Fury, fall back. Remember last time we didn't see one until like 17 minutes that was actually successful. Filippo picked up, beads forced, and April just jumps away, happy with the trade.
Zoning for the moment. Gold Fury's the target. Remember, Zenshi is here with Spear of the 9 Winds. Does he even get there in time? Not even close. Fortunately, the zone from Kana was too strong, and Zenshi loses the beads. My goodness, this Cuckoo. A little bit of a rough spot here. Drake gets caught out in the grass. You have the kill off the taunt. One more pick will do it, and Rapio picks up his 3rd of the game.
Now, up into the air, there's going to be a
4th
bomb
of the game.
collapses. gets the double kill and is continuing to chase for a little bit more. April picks up the mid laner. They take down 4 of the 5 members of DDK. 4 of the 5 disciples. That would have sounded so much cooler if I was the first. Preds trades their life out for it, but now an early Gold Fury, early leads, 4-0 start for your mid laner. Things are looking great for the Scorps.
Level 12 already, man. That is an absolute threat. You gotta get to level 14. If you can get to level 14, he can double someone's level. He could double 3 people's level on the map. It would be Drake, hi-rez, and Zenshi, which would be a ridiculous amount of farm being funneled into your mid laner. But yeah, 4-0-3. You got plenty of assists, plenty of damage, plenty of kills. This is a great start. Oh, Zenshi, I think he might be Gonzo. Remember when you beat just a bit ago? Unfortunately, there was a Fenrir around the corner. The old big dog around the corner trick works every time. And put another one on the board.
I didn't want to say it at the time. I did feel like the beads when they were used,
Yeah.
maybe kind of didn't need to. Like you were Ymir frozen.
Yep.
But a lot of the Scorps were a little further back. Better safe than sorry, I guess, is the way to look at it. Right now, speaking of better safe than sorry, maybe you need the Athena. You've got the Athena, but the taunt comes through. Kana still goes down. No one else is here to rotate. You've got 4 people rotating into Solar. Kana absolutely is shouting at his team to push somewhere. If the Gold Fury hadn't already been pulled, it would be now. They get to stay alive. You've got April, who showed up over here. Taunt manages to hit. Oh my god, poor Drake. 1, 4, and 2 now. And just nothing you can do about it other than hope that taunt doesn't connect. That's the best you can get.
You could have not went for the farm at 1 HP,
True.
But we're well past
nothing
that.
you can do about it.
we're well past that at this point. So it does end up just going in and getting the taunt. Confirms the brutalize. Not a bad look. River's Rebuke. Will it confirm the... It didn't even get the buff, man. That is such a long cooldown to not even get the buff. I mean, it's 3-10. The gold lead is climbing to quite the lead. Ragnarok picking up Wengu. The jump should be there immediately, and the brutalize should confirm the kill. If he can find a freeze, that would definitely do it. And Kana picks up this one. Bit of a different story than game number 1, but tough here from Disciples of Chaos. They just don't really have an out. There is no lane to play through, unfortunately, because again, Zenshi is 2 levels behind. Not quite the 3 levels behind that he was last game, but everyone else, man, they are in a bit of a farm. What's the opposite of a surplus?
Deficit?
Yeah, farm deficit. That's the one. Thank you so much. Needed that assist.
I'm so glad that I could find the word.
Yeah, well, I put you on the spot there, and you came in.
You know what? We pull through.
Yep. 10,000 gold in 12 minutes.
10,000 gold in 12 minutes. That's I think Scorps heard our critiques about. Yeah, you know what? You were doing pretty well. Could have been faster though, like all around, like everything, like the whole pace. Gold Furies and when they were getting pulled and looked at team fights, like everything felt like it was just slow. And now you're getting things like Davey ulting to just chase Drake. Yes.
He said, I don't even want Drake anymore.
Turned around to kill Zenshi. Drake is just left off on his own, lonesome. Yeah, not much you can do about it either. I mean, you're a half-health Loki. Gold Fury's going to get started up, and they've got 4 here. You'd be lucky if they even let you get close to think about going for a steal, let alone if you could actually steal it. So, another Gold Fury going the way of the Scorps. And now we're looking at 11,000 gold in 13 minutes.
Not a bad start. Not a bad start. If you are Scorps, your goal is to find a 2-0. It's good, but Kana in a bit of trouble here. There is going to be 4 on this side of the map. Does hit the ultimate. Will there be any help coming to this Shamir? Does not seem like it. Prez doesn't have the ultimate, but can he find a kill before he goes down? Not quite. 4v1. And I do think this is something you need to do if you're DDK. Even fights are not in your favor. 2v1s are not in your favor. 4v1s you can win. Try and find a tower off of this play. You know, you got to just stack the deck in your favor as much as humanly possible, especially on this side of the map. You're near Fire Giant, right? So even if something broke out, it's not as if you couldn't go in for a defense, right? Even if the play goes just monumentally wrong, you're still on the side of the map you need to be. But Davy's flying in. April is on the way. I wouldn't be surprised if we saw a little bit of a fight, but Davy flew in just a bit too far without the team.
Still, decent damage. Hasn't quite got that same punch we saw last time. Zinchi just took a tower shot. Riptide disengaged a little bit, and again, that Purification Talisman paying for its weight in gold. Although beads were used by Zinchi as well.
Your middle tower is under attack.
We've seen what happens when that goes down. So April, more than anyone, on the prowl. If they can stop that back, it doesn't look like they're even looking for it. In fact, actually, with the back going through, this might be exactly what you want. I didn't even glance at the timer. They've been so far ahead that I just assumed Fire Giant was there. Yeah. He doesn't spawn in for another 30 seconds. That wasn't even an option for him yet.
They were thinking about waiting around for it. Like, all right, we'll get Pyro. We'll go on back to farming. Then do a 15-minute Fire Giant possibly, considering that they have plenty of farm, plenty of lead, and a Runic Bomb in pocket. Not a big stretch as far as I'm concerned here for the Scorps. This is a lead that they want to try and push. Davies on this side of the map for a reason. So yeah, grouping up for Fire Giant immediately is definitely going to be the call here.
Wingu. I can't think of maybe a worse spot to be. There's not a lot of places to escape from,
he
and
just
you
barely
get
got
picked
him.
up as well. Brought back into your own demise. And guess what, Trelly? He just showed up. Perfect for the occasion. A Fire Giant laying in wait. You don't even have your new wall. Loki's in the middle of nowhere. Rapio, no ult, but you kind of know no one's nearby because of that. Drake might go for something here.
Might go for Rapio.
Yeah, I don't know if you can feel super confident going under the tower.
Destroyed the Fire Giant.
And so he's just kind of awkwardly been standing around the tier 1 in mid. Now Fire Giant goes the way of the Scorps. All 5 have it. And you get a nice little reset. You might even get a little bit more. Rapio actually wants the fight. He's going to go ahead and chase him down. Says, all right, let's go for this. Blink forward, brutalize. The damage is there. And April,
Your team has destroyed
he just shuts Drake down.
enemy
This is what I was looking for in game number 1. A way to deal with this Loki. Again, Fenrir, best way to do it. Follows him so easily. You got to find your way out of this. That's 300 damage with an auto attack, man. That is ridiculous. That was just a Seething Howl Hydra's proc.
Oof.
Oh, that's
right
going to
tower
start to
has
add
been
up.
destroyed.
And then she unfortunately could not teleport away. Yeah, this is what I was asking for, though. The Mordred can't really chase down the Loki the same way that a full damage Fenrir can, and this is where April really excels. And we've got to watch April for years, and the bully junglers that can hard carry a game away are really what I like to, watch from April. And it's been working out quite well. Drake does not have the same level of freedom that game number 1 brought.
And you know what? I have to call it out where I see it, but the Genjis as well pick up part 2 or item 2 for Zinchi. Can't feel good, right? Like this guy's in your carry role and he's not dealing damage. Had to go for a prod item. It just feels like unfortunate, like the God we were already scratching our heads at. I don't know about the build, but I don't know if I see it changing the pace of this game anytime soon from a dedicated role the same way that Davey was able to really start picking up a ton for them last game. And that, 7-0 and 6 or 5-0 and 5. Take your pick. April and Rapio doing a lot for the Scorps this game.
Yeah, I don't like anything really about the Cuckoo ADC, but again, if you feel like, hey, Jingwei's gone and there's just no other pick that I wanted to go to, this is a tough matchup to try and play it into, right? There's just so much ease of engage between an Athena, a Fenrir, a Ymir. Not going to be a great time regardless. No Phoenixes have went down that, DDK are playing defense in their selected lanes for the time being. Sending out the ultimate to be a nuisance. Man, Rapio, this is ridiculous. Level 20 at 18 minutes. 5 full items. Just the amount of farm being funneled into this new eye is ridiculous. Like, look, Kalipo has... He's 2-1-1, and he has 3 items to his name. A full Cosmic Horror Chronos Pendant, like an Obsidian Shard. Like, there is just so much, a night and day difference between DPS here. Like, Davies level 16 on the team that's winning, and his mid laner's level 20, 5-0-5.
Rapia said, guys, I got a global ult. I'm going to go farm. I'll press 4 when you need me, and...
Prez just going to win this 1v1? Oh, my goodness. Just own Drake for the fun of it, and then it's just going to ult over?
Ult's over because, again, Drake just not worthwhile for them anymore. And instead, goes wide as well with the ult for Zinchi, so it's not even going to have a lot. Again, 300 damage. Smack to the face. Phoenix is the target right now for the Scorps, and they've got the damage to do it. They're going to knock that one down, but do they have enough? 19 minutes in to continue chasing this game down. They might just, with Wingu going down. You still have 5, but it's
Drake
12
is
seconds.
still pushing.
Survives. Yeah, Drake's over there on left, or on right, I should say. Maybe he's going to get that tier 1 tower. Booze is a mid Phoenix. Gone. Kalipo, gone.
Comes me.
Davey and team.
Boy,
Take
just end.
mid Phoenix.
I don't think they have to keep dancing like this. I'm pretty sure they can just end.
Shelly,
Your team has destroyed
they
a
scoff
rock
at that.
enemy.
They laugh and back away.
I
Kalipo's
guess.
not back for 30 seconds, by the way.
I mean, they have low health bars. Fire Giant's going to be up shortly. What if Rapio's ult came up back in time to get Drake? That'd be hilarious, but it doesn't end up happening. Drake had a mental note of the cooldown on that one. Regardless, 2 birds down. And now a Pyromancer being looked at. Scorps are just crossing the T's, dotting the I's. This gold lead just shy of 20,000 gold, which I'm not a mathematician, but is quite large.
From, you know what, we checked with the stats guys, and they said quite large indeed.
That reminds me of the I check with the chief. Remember that meme?
I check with the chief.
I talked to the chief. He said the gold lead's large. Haven't talked to him in a while, but yeah.
And we checked with the chief.
Yeah, we checked with the chief, and
Quite large.
He's rocking with the Scorps right now, as most people will be. I wonder. I think there was a channel points in chat, and I don't think there was too much in favor of the Discipulos, but it was big if they did end up pulling this off. And if they were able to, it'd be off the back of Drake and Kalipo at the moment. Those are the damage dealers. Wenku is decently tanky, but unfortunately, when you look at who's doing the damage to you, Davey and Rapio have all the pen and the tank shred in the world to deal with someone who's tanky.
And unfortunately, as you had just highlighted, specifically for DDK, like, April is Kendrick Lamar to Drake's Drake. Like, it is just absolute shutdown. 7-0 and 9, 6-0 and 7. I'm still impressed. Nobody else has hit 20 yet. What was Rapio doing? I mean, I'm going to have to go back and watch this game from his perspective just to know.
Well, he got the free first blood before the game started.
That was pretty good.
Immediately a second kill.
Ancient Fury goes DDK's way, by the way.
And then he just, said farm is the motive.
Phoenix is under attack.
Drake is still split pushing. He doesn't want anything to do with the fight for now. It needs to be an end goal. I don't think that there's any stopping them. Remember that Cuckoo ult we saw? I want to see it connect just to see the damage it will do, because I don't think it's going to be a lot.
Yeah, honestly, I'm in the same boat right now. I don't know if we'll even get to. Depends on how alive she can stay. There it goes. And there it flies. Not able to connect. Scorps, though. You have the numbers advantage. I would say the Hecate may be one of your biggest threats, already off the board for quite a while. Vive's taken down as well. And the question is, can you find more kills before the Titan passively goes down? And the answer, it seems to be no. They're in the fountain anyway. You pick up 3 at the end. 21-4 dominance here. And Scorps take this set.
Kana did end up hitting level 20, so there was one other level.
One other guy
besides Rapio at the end of that game. I mean, getting a kill before the game starts is great, but that doesn't line you up for hitting level 20 that fast. That was, in essence, just a farm clinic. Like how to fast track to late game, and winning every lane will also make that pretty easy to do.
The 2 full items ahead, like that's not like.
And again, Kalipo was farming well. That's the point. Like, 2-1,
I don't know
level
what he was
16.
doing.
I think Kalipo was like even with Davey at one point. Let's see, what was the GPM? 654.
470.
654 gold per minute. Closest to you was Kana at 609. And the enemy team, closest to them was 470.
And I think for reference, and again, this changes, over years, patch to patch. I want to say the highest that you would typically see would be in like the like high 500s, low like 600, like, and that's like a hey, we dominated.
Yep.
654 is a crazy number to have. That's genuinely insane. Whatever Rapio was doing, you can't let him do that. You gotta stop it. I mean, the 6-0 and 10 alone, but 21,000 damage, like. take away a few ults and you know, you maybe are still in the ballpark, but you're still ahead of everybody. That was genuinely impressive. And realistically, like, none of the plays were super flashy. It's just you farmed well, you hit 4, and you were present for the moments you needed to be present for.
And sometimes that's all you need, right? When your tanks are doing their job, when your jungle's doing your job, they just need that little bit of support, little bit of help, and that's what Nuwa provides. So I'm surprised Nuwa hasn't been higher priority-wise, just because she is very easy. There's not a lot you need to do. She can get dove, I guess. Maybe that's the reason. But regardless, when you have games like that, you don't got to worry about getting dove.
You know what? Neath ain't doing that, right? Nope. You're saying maybe they're similar, but not in this case. The Neath ain't doing that for you. But let's look at the grand scheme of things here, right? With this 2-0, you're looking pretty good for Scorps. Again, they were in our 1-1 matchups. They are going to now move to 2-1. The Disciples of Chaos will be moving down to the 1-2, which means next week, Scorps will be in a position, as long as they can win their set, to promo over to playoffs and be one of the 8 teams coming from Swiss that go directly to playoffs. DDK will be in a position where they need to win if they want to stay alive in Swiss and have a chance to go to playoffs. Otherwise, they'll get knocked down to the last chance qualifiers. It's also worth mentioning, you know, some of the other matchups. A lot of 2-0s in this 1-1 area. MMB, who we were originally scheduled to watch, had to forfeit, were unable to field a roster. So Project Win get their 2-0, and they get to stay alive in Swiss. And of course, that means there's 2 matchups still waiting to be seen. Titans Reloaded and Tythonic, which will be off air. But if we take a look, drum roll, for the schedule, you'll see Team Risk versus Smoke Break, Sunday, 1 p.m.
And that's 10 minutes away.
10 minutes away. Yeah, it's going to be a really fun one to watch. I know a lot of teams have been, or a lot of talk, I think, about Team Risk in general as a team that is very solid. And I want to say
number one.
Yep. And if I remember correctly, of the teams that you predicted,
this was the team I predicted.
You said Team Risk first, and then Giovanni Giorgio, and I think one of those has already come true. So now
I may be that guy.
You may be that guy.
We will find out in 2 to 3 hours. We will figure out for sure.
Sometime by around 3 p.m. today, we will know.
And we will know if I'm that dude, if I'm only half the time that dude. And I'm good with either, but yeah, Team Risk has been pretty tough to try and dethrone. Now, they say the Smoke Break has it. I mean, they're the definitive like 1 and 2 right now, so definitely a matchup to watch. You don't want to miss it. Get your snacks, get hydrated.
Yeah.
And then just like chill for a couple seconds.
Have your water bottles.
Yep.
I got mine.
Gotta
keep it nearby. And with that, we'll throw it to a quick break, and all that stuff Trelly just said, it's going to happen.